Welcome to the Gyrl Podcast, the show where purpose meets inspiration. Each week, I sit down with incredible individuals who open up about their real life journeys, the wins, the setbacks, and the lessons in between. Whether you're navigating career moves, entrepreneurship, or personal growth, you're in the right place. I'm Kyra Mitchell Lewis, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go up together. So, for anybody who is watching this on our YouTube, you probably saw me go into a quick tizzy because I didn't have my glasses on and I couldn't see my notes. Oh gosh, the joys of not being able to see. Well, happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you all are having a fantastic week. I hope everyone's doing well. Wow, we are, as I have said in some previous episodes, we are getting closer. We are getting closer to the end of the year, my friends. Whew, it's just the beginning. No, we're close to the end. All right. But I do hope that you are, finding space and time to reflect. We are getting to the end of the year, and it's the time when we start to think about what do I want for next year? What do I want to do with next year? How do I want next year to treat me? How do I want to show up for next year? So if you're not thinking about it, I hope you'll start thinking about it soon. And just always know, like, I don't know, I always find like just being hopeful, right? There's a lot, there's a lot happening everywhere. And sometimes the world can seem pretty heavy, and life can feel heavy. But I think if you can just muster up just a small amount of hope and faith and that there's still a lot of good things happening in the world. There's still a lot of good people in the world too. And so take that, do with it what you want. All right, so let's go ahead and get into today's episode. My guest today is Kris Rice. She is the founder and CEO of ChillPod, a wellness brand built around the science and benefits of cold therapy. Kris is on a mission to make cold exposure more approachable, helping people use this powerful practice to strengthen their minds, recover their bodies, and find calm through discipline. She combines research-backed insight with personal experience to show how stepping into the cold can actually spark clarity, resilience, and confidence from the inside out. We're talking about the mindset behind cold therapy, breaking through hesitation, and finding power in discomfort. Let's dive in. All right, let's welcome Kris to the show. Welcome, Kris.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Well, why don't we get started first by having you tell us who you are and what inspired you to launch ChillPod?
Sure, I'm happy to. So, I am a wife, a mom, and an entrepreneur. And my kids have been a huge part of my inspiration behind creating ChillPod. So, when I have two daughters, a teen and a tween now, and
Mhm.
when the older one was really young, she had a lot of mental health struggles. And so, alongside her and helping her come to a better place in her body, I was able to recognize that I had my own struggles, ones that I wasn't able to really like put a finger on before I was able to see it in her. I was able to recognize my own anxiety and overwhelm and really like inability to know what to do with all the stress in life.
Mhm.
And so while I started finding alternative methods for her to really support her health, I did the same for myself. And so in that path, I found meditation, I found yoga and breath work and all these amazing things that I loved. But the reality was that they were like a full-time job. So it
Mhm.
took so much time to do the things that I needed at that point to feel my best, to feel good.
Mhm.
And so it was from that place that honestly I started to feel discouraged because I was like, this is unachievable. I don't know how to do this different. I know the things
Mhm.
to do now, but also I can't get them all in. And so I was talking with a friend one afternoon and she was like, have you tried cold plunging? And it was just one of those things where I was like, no, I don't want to do it. It sounds terrible. No, thank you. And so she was like, okay. cool, no problem. But she kind of kept bringing it up. And so we talked about it a couple more times. And I think it was just another conversation. And honestly, like out of desperation of not being like, what do I have to lose? That I said,
Right.
fine, you know what? I'll give it a try. And so I literally ordered a horse trough off Ace Hardware and I brought it
Mhm.
home. I told no one because my thought was like, if I hate this, which I was pretty convinced I would, it was like,
Mhm.
if this doesn't do anything and I hate it, I don't want to have like made a big deal of it. It's no big deal. We get rid of the
Mhm.
trough and away we go. And so I brought it home and I gave it a try. I filled it with hose water. So it wasn't the coldest thing in the world, but it wasn't comfortable. And the reality was I got out of that and I had never felt better. I had a smile on my face and I was like, who is this? Like, this is a different version of myself. And so I would, from that place, I would just go back to the trough. I would go back there and I would imagine what could I do to bring more people into cold water so that they also could feel the relief and the change that you can feel from a couple minutes of exposing yourself to cold water. And so from that silly little trough, that is where ChillPod was born.
Nice. I love it.
Thank you.
Um, so a lot of people may not really know about, what cold therapy is. And they might be just hearing it, like I think it's been gaining attention lately. But
Mhm.
for people who are new to the concept, can you talk about like why it's so effective?
Yeah, for sure. So at a totally basic level, it cold plunging or cold therapy is really just the act of submerging your body in cold water. So in some way, you are exposing your body to cold water and the when it comes down to it, really the change that it creates is it resets your nervous system. So what it does is if you were to go into a body of cold water, say you had like a cold bathtub and you went in there, what it does is it quickly puts your body into fight or flight, and so you
Mhm.
just dip your toe in that, but you do it for a really short time, and so it creates just a tiny bit of stress on your body, but in a good way, in that it shocks it out of where it is, and it resets it back to a new normal, and so you're able to flush out all of that stress that you've had in your body, you're able to reset your hormones, you're able to do so much in this tiny little fraction of time just because your nervous system is literally like kind of like a light switch. It's just getting flipped on and off. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
now we're rebooted. We're good to go.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I've seen like people, like videos of
Yeah.
people who have done it. And so, with that being said, probably there are other people listening or watching who have seen videos. And,
Mhm.
are there misconceptions out there about cold therapy that you would like to say, clear up things that you've heard that people may have said about it?
Yeah, for sure. So two come to mind. And one is there's a couple of doctors, so very credible people that are out there and spreading this idea that women are not made for cold water. And so, which I honestly like, I had been doing this practice for years when I heard this and this
Mhm.
idea that, women should plunge at colder temperatures because our bodies are more made for hot is the theory.
Mm.
And I think, you'll hear it in pretty much everything that I say and share is like everything is a individual practice. So I don't think
Mhm.
we can really like lump that all in to one gender needs all of this. Like it's a unique practice and you have a unique body. So what works for you and what doesn't is fine. But I think that's a really vast generalization to say women in general shouldn't be in cold water because I can tell you for me, like it changed everything. And
Mhm.
so I think that's one. And then I think the other misconception, which if you've seen pictures of it, I mean, most people have at this point, right? We
Mhm.
always see these really extreme versions. It's somebody sitting in literally like a carved out ice or something like that,
Mhm.
where it's like, it is an extreme version of this. And I just want to kind of give a different context of it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a certain temperature. It doesn't even have to be for a certain amount of time. You get to determine that and you get to play around with it.
Mhm.
But going as cold as possible for as long as possible is not the point. It's not that's gonna really tax your system. It's gonna do, put a lot of stress on your body, where there's a lot of ways to be able to maybe you go a little higher in temperature, but you stay in for a couple of minutes. There's so many ways to play around with it, but what I would love is to ditch that idea that we have to go to extremes to get
Mhm.
the benefits of it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting because with everything, unfortunately, we live in a time where it's like everything people feel like everything has to be to the extreme for it to actually
Right?
work. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
like, that's just not it. It's yeah, and chances are if you do that, it's gonna be too much too fast, and you're probably never
Right.
gonna go back to it. So, like, let's
Yeah.
just do it in a different way. Maybe you start really slow, like the opposite of
Mhm.
that, and if that's the case, then, you're able to build up faster versus doing it once and being like, "No, my toes didn't warm up for hours. I'm out.
Yeah. I'm never gonna do this again.
I'm never doing it."
Yeah. And I would also like to say that most times I often see when I see people doing this, mostly women that have always
Oh, you actually do? Interesting.
yeah, like when I see people doing it, like it's always like videos of women like doing it. So
Mm.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
um, mm, mm.
Yeah.
um, how can I know you talked a little bit about how cold therapy can support mental health
Mhm,
and not just physical recovery. Because I
mhm.
think like that's probably the thing that most people probably associate it with, right? Is
Yeah.
that it's for like physical recovery. But,
Yep.
for people that from the mental health perspective, I know you said it sort of it shocks our nervous systems.
Mhm.
What other benefits from a mental health perspective have you seen from doing cold therapy?
Yeah, no, it's important to remember that, like, it's both sides of the coin. Everybody will get a mix of physical and mental benefits.
Mhm.
For me, it really is like I lean more on the mental benefits, but it
Mhm.
kind of ebbs and flows too. So I think everybody will receive a mix of it. But from a mental health perspective, it's incredible for resetting anxiety, for
Mhm.
rebalancing. So with stress, you have high levels of cortisol. Those go
Mhm.
hand in hand. So the higher your cortisol, the higher your stress level. And the cold water actually reduces your cortisol levels. And so you're able to literally flush that out of your system. So if you're not feeling stressed, you probably have more focus, you have a clearer mind, all of
Mhm.
these things. So, um, for me, that focus, and I can really tell if it's a day that I've plunged or it's a day that I haven't based
Mm.
on kind of my ability to stay with a task or kind of more so like high level prioritize what I need to do. I'll flit less
Mm.
and less back and forth between
Uh-huh.
days and stay on like a project for longer. So all of those pieces are just a few that I think really all of us can benefit from a
Mhm.
mental health perspective.
Yeah, for sure. What role have you seen like discipline and mindset play when
Mhm.
someone first starts this practice?
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing is the mindset shift of so many it's really natural to be like, "I hate cold water, I don't wanna do that." And that's,
Mhm.
like, the wall that they run into, myself included. So, you that's it's hard to think beyond that. So, I think if you can instead shift your focus to be like, "Well, what's on the other side of that wall?"
Right.
Is it the focus? Is it your clarity? Is it, you know, doing some really hard challenges that you wanna do? Whatever it is, that's actually on the other side. So, like, to me, it's thinking about less like ramming through that wall and breaking it down of resistance because I can tell you that 3 years later, like, I still don't actually wanna go in the plunge in the morning. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a fun thing at the time, but I know that 2 minutes later, I feel like a new person. So that's
Mhm.
totally worth it, and I think that's where the mindset, shift kind of happens.
Yeah, and discipline to
Yes,
do it.
for
So you
sure.
mentioned you mentioned you do it in the morning. So do you do it every morning?
I don't do it every morning.
Mhm.
I think it's actually been a good practice to teach me more flexibility. Like I can be a
Mhm.
really routine person who's like, okay, I do
Mhm.
this is like my flow of the day. And for me, like, I don't need to do it every day to feel
Mhm.
great. I've heard multiple people kind of reframe it in this idea of minutes per week that you get in cold water. So
Mhm.
the idea that if you can get in cold water or cold exposure for 11 minutes a week, that's amazing. And you break
Mhm.
that up how you want. And that's kind of the methodology that I follow. So I'll do it 4, maybe 5 times a week, but maybe sometimes I do it every day, but I certainly don't aim to do it every day because I feel
Mhm.
like sometimes it does after, like, enough consecutive days, it almost kinda crosses over to where I'm like, actually, that stress was a little too much on my body. I'm good. I'm
Mhm.
gonna take a day off." So,
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah.
And so you mentioned if you do it 4 to 5 times, are you like 2 minutes in, like, each time?
Yeah, so for me, I like about the mid-40s is where I usually am temperature-wise, and I'll do it for anywhere from like 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. But for me, I really listen to my body in that moment. And some like today was actually it was colder outside. So
Mhm.
that time I was like, you know what? It would probably was about 2 minutes. And I was like, I'm good. I'm in. I've done it. I feel reset. That's enough. I'm gonna get out. I don't
Mhm.
have to prove to myself that I need to do it for a certain amount of time.
Exactly. And I know, obviously, like you said, there's a mindset shift and there's discipline involved in you showing up and doing this. But is there anything that you say, as you said, you wake up and you're like, not exactly like looking forward to getting into like cold water, but
Yeah.
is there something that you say to yourself, to sort, kind of encourage you to just, I know you
Mm.
said this is what's on the other side, but is there something you personally speak to yourself, come on, Chris girl, go get it.
I love it. That's a great question. I think for me, like, it does become a little embedded in my routine. So, like, I know once I've woken my kids up, that's kind of my cue. My physical cue to myself is I won't take off my pajamas and put on my normal clothes
Mhm.
because if I do that, then it's never happening. So,
Right. Yeah.
if I add the swimsuit in between, then it happens. So, there's sort of like that ritual of knowing the timing of when I'm going to do that. And I think honestly, I kind of almost unconsciously envision the day ahead, and I imagine myself kind
Mhm.
of going into that with the energy that I want versus
Yes.
like almost just rushing ahead to do all the things. So it
Mhm.
really is like it's kind of like a restart button even from when I've woken up to when
Mhm.
I'm entering my full day.
Mhm.
So I kind of like almost imagine those in my mind more so than like have a phrase, but I do like I stand on the steps of my pod and then I stand and I put my hands on my heart and I'm like, "You've got this." And then I step in. So I ground myself real quick before I
Mhm.
do that. Just because I don't want to bring all the stuff before it into the water too. You
Mhm.
just want to go in there,
Yeah.
have your time and go forward.
Yeah, you've got like you're going in with a clear mind.
Yeah.
But I do I appreciate that. And I love what you said because I think, there is something to I think about it in terms of like working out in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Like if I put my clothes on, it's really hard for me. Like I always tell people, I'm like, I'm definitely a person that works out in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come downstairs. I might, let my dog out, give him breakfast. Like,
Mhm.
I may do a few little things, just checking, emailing them, but I have to be like back upstairs working out by 9.
Yeah.
And if there's ever a day, like, say, if I have like an appointment or something where I have to go out in the morning, I don't do really well in the afternoon. Like, it's
Yeah.
really hard for me to like transition myself to, but as long as I can put those clothes on first thing in the morning,
Right.
and go work out, then I know what's gonna happen. But
Yep.
but if you're asking me to do it in the evening, I'm like, "Well, there's always tomorrow."
Oh my gosh, you and me both. I think you just get those like, you know what works for you, and that's
Mhm.
fine. I can be talked into, like, a slow stroll in the afternoon, but, like, that's it. I am not doing a full workout in the afternoon.
You're better than me because usually I'm like, "No" to the slow stroll. My husband's like, "Well, don't you wanna go, like, take Max for a walk?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not."
I really
You
don't. Thanks for asking.
I'm like, "That's cool, but y'all got it." And he say, "Wow." I'm like, I just my mind isn't there right now." Like,
Yeah.
it's turned to, like, reading a book or watching TV now,
Uh-huh.
and I don't wanna be outside, so here
No,
we are.
no, I get it. I mean, yes, great. Like, you and great.
Exactly. Now do you have, any I guess I could call it a success story from someone who's, that you've worked with that has experienced a powerful transformation through
Yeah.
cold therapy?
Yeah, actually 2 come to mind. So I'll give you a physical and a more mental
Okay.
one. The more physical one actually is my husband. So
Mhm.
he goes along for a lot of my crazy ideas. You know, he's not an early adopter. So I I offer these things up and eventually he's like, "All right, you're right." So that was definitely the same case with cold plunging. He's like, "I don't." He didn't even know what it was. He was like,
Mhm.
"No, I don't know." And so but the little trough was sitting outside of basically our kitchen window, so you were always looking at it. So,
Mhm.
he decided to give it a try, and going into it, he had pretty chronic back pain. So,
Mm.
at the time, he didn't know why. He just knew that, it always would land in the certain side of his body, and it was super frustrating. It's annoying to have
Mhm.
that, and you try everything, nothing seems to work. So he
Mhm.
didn't start plunging for that reason, but once he started, it literally evaporated. It went away.
Mm.
And so what he came to realize is once he had like a little bit of distance from that irritation was that's just where his body holds stress. So he knows when he gets
Mm.
amped up about work, stressed about
Mhm.
family, whatever it is, it just dumps right in his back and it sits there. And so he now knows, great, I recognize it. This is not like end of the world situation. It's
Mhm.
uncomfortable. I can go to the cold water. It'll flush it out of my system and he will walk out 2 minutes later and it's gone.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool from a physical standpoint.
Mhm.
Um, and a mental one that I love, I actually was on another podcast with a gal who has bipolar disorder,
Mhm.
and she wanted to be able to speak to the experience a little more from a more educated place for our episode. And so she's like, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to go try it. And
Uh-huh.
so she went, she tried it. And by the time we met, I think from when she said she was going to do it, she did it 3 times. She,
Mhm.
like
Okay.
it was like, "Okay, I'm in, I'm doing this," and, already by then she was like, "I'm starting to feel different. I feel better. I don't know if this is really a thing, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
keep trying it. I'm intrigued." And
Mhm.
she wrote me once our episode went live, and she's like, I cannot thank you. You changed my life. She's like,
Oh.
I need my medications and I need these things, but the way that I feel in combination with the water and all the other pieces of support that I have, she's like, my life feels completely different. So I love to
Yes.
think of her and just imagine that, like, there's a lot of us out there that could
Mm.
be served and supported by that. And that really is why I started this whole adventure.
Mhm. Yes. Now, for people who may be listening or watching and they're curious, but they're hesitant,
Yeah.
what's the best way that they could get started?
Yeah. I think of 2 things, and 2 what I always wanna think about is what is the least barrier to entry? What would you have in your house today that you could just give it a try?
Mhm.
So, the 2 things that I think of is your hands actually have the most nerve endings in them, so they're
Mhm.
really, really sensitive. When I plunge, I actually usually keep my hands out because they get so cold for so long. I don't need it, I
Mhm.
can keep them out. So, conversely, if you wanna try it and you don't wanna do your whole body yet, get a little bowl of cold water. So it could have
Mhm.
ice in it, it could not. You can kinda play out see what you think, but just submerge your hands in and see if you can do that for 3 breaths, something like that.
Mhm.
And if you don't notice any different, you could always make it a little colder, add some more ice, do it for a little longer, but that's a great way to just
Mhm.
experiment, and we all have a bowl. We all have a
Mhm.
bowl and we all
Mhm.
have cold water, so you can do that. Alternatively, if you're feeling a little braver, you could always end your shower cold. So once you've showered, you can turn it cold and you can stand there for, again, 2 or 3 breaths, something like that. Start as small and manageable as you can, and worst case, you don't feel anything. And that just tells you you can amp it up a little bit the next time.
Mhm.
And then so just keep experimenting. My whole approach to it is just be curious. There's so many different ways to try it. If you hate
Mhm.
cold showers, me too. I literally will not do it. I'd rather put myself in an ice cold river than I would put myself in a cold shower. But some people love it. I talked to a gentleman this morning who's like, I have gone in cold showers for 11 years. It's like, good on you.
Now, I did used to end mine with cold water.
That's great.
I would always, like, turn it at the end and then just stand there
Yeah,
and, kinda get that, like, shock, but I'm gonna try my hands
yeah,
in water, and
absolutely.
when I shower, I'm gonna do it again. I don't know
Give it a
why
try.
I got away from it, but, I mean, I'm intrigued
Yep.
by all the good stuff you have told me today, and I'm definitely gonna try that.
I love it. Well, alternatively to hands too, you could do face or you can do feet too. So like
Mm.
if you really hate one, just try another one, you know?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
any of those are just they're kind of amplifiers. They're an easy way to have a small part of your body in there but feel
Yes.
a good
Yeah,
impact.
and then you just keep going and keep going and keep going. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But just start small enough that you're not trying to, submerge your face for a minute and do anything like that,
And
just
then
start
coming
small.
out going, "Oh my god, my face is froze."
What have I done? Am I
No,
not breathe?
I think just, clearly hearing the benefits, that you've shared, with us is enough for just everyone out there listening, watching, just to try your hands at least. Try your hands or your feet.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, face feels like
a little
it would be
invasive.
yes, but go in there with those hands, y'all, and the feet, because I mean, if you're going out and get manicures and pedicures, know you put your feet in the water before it gets warm, like, plenty of time.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
and if you're somebody who washes your hair in the shower and you've been told as, like I remember it's, like, at the end, they're like, submerge your head in cold water before you get out."
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah,
so
exactly, you remember.
it's like, so you're already probably on the right track. So
Yeah,
let's just go ahead and just take a few more steps and do it. Now,
exactly.
Chris, what kind of resources or products has ChillPod created that created through
Mhm.
ChillPod that help make cold therapy more accessible? Because you're already out here giving out nuggets about how we can try it. But what what else can you tell us?
So what I created was an actual cold plunge. So the cold plunge itself is what I created. And so like I said, from the trough, I really like dreamed up all of these ideas of what I
Mhm,
wanted it to be to really specifically bring more women into cold water. So
mhm,
obviously made for all people, but at the heart of it, I was like, I feel like there's more resistance from women than men. And so how can we get over that? So I created a cold plunge that is meant to really uplevel your space, whether that's in a business or in your home. But my little trough was a sad, like, eyesore in my backyard, and it would be like a weird point of conversation. And I took that and laughed at it, and also was like, but how could none of the cold plunges out there on the market are real like showpieces. So how can we give this an artistic kind of
mhm,
uplift?
mhm,
So change it visually in addition to changing it to really fit your human body. So if you go to the website and you look at it, you'll see
mhm.
that it actually has a seat built into it. It has a chair that holds your body. And
Mhm,
so that way you can sit in a position that's comfortable to you. You can have, an armrest for your arms. All of those
mhm,
things were taken into account so that your body would be held and comfortable in an uncomfortable situation.
mhm. I'm actually looking at it right now too, and it's visually stunning.
Thank you.
It's
That was the goal.
no, it's visually, like, very beautiful, so
Thank you.
and, yeah, and I mean, if you don't guys, make sure you go check it out, the links will be in the show notes, but, I mean, like, if you can get into that and be like, "Ah."
Well, here's the flip side is it does go warm. So if like it's a two-person household, one's hating warm and one's
Mhm.
hating cold, you're both covered.
See? Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just looks very, very relaxing, I love it.
No, thank
Um
you.
So for like we talked about, I know you said like, you're trying to bring more women into this space. So for women listening or watching, and they want to continue to build resilience, right?
Mhm.
And I think we've talked about some things and just even the steps and the things that you've done, the way that you integrated this into your life. But just say women are out there and they're like, Kris, I hear you, girl. I wanna build that same type of resilient mindset that you have.
Yeah.
What can they do?
Yeah. I think the more that you just start at those tiny baby steps that make it feel like you're getting a win, even if you're not feeling like this huge transformation in your body or your mind, like when you start doing that, you're proving to yourself that you're making these difficult choices. They're not the easy ones, whether it is working out consistently each morning or cold plunging whenever you do that. Those
Mhm,
things, like, they transcend that practice itself. I think that's
mhm,
one thing that I really have taken away from it is I'm able to go into meetings, situations, different decision-making moments in a really different way because I know that I can show up and do those difficult things that are undesirable. Admittedly, a lot of people don't do that in their life, and I'm
mhm.
like, "You know what? But I do." And so I can show up differently because of that. So I feel like it's very empowering, and it is I think that resiliency is just kind of baked into that where,
Mhm.
you're making decisions from a different place because you've made that really hard one early on in your day or at some point.
Right. Yep, yep, I love that. Now, Chris, how can people connect to you and can they explore ChillPod?
Yeah. So you can check out ChillPod at thechillpod.co, and that's on Instagram. That's our website. You can go check it out there. And then if you want a little bit more of my behind the scenes, kind of founder life, family life, all of those things, that I'm at Kris Rice Wellness.
Awesome. I just want to say it is like I said, the whole brand is just visually stunning and
Thank
very
you.
relaxing. Like it
Thank
is
you.
all the things that you talked about in one. It's calming. I mean, it's like a ritual of
Mhm.
sorts of like
Mhm.
this is how I start my day because what I really loved what you said earlier at the beginning is that you think about how you want the day to go, and I
Mhm.
think so many people don't. So many people just let the day come to them, but
Yeah.
we are responsible for it as well as how our
Yes.
days go. It's because how do we want to embrace the day?
Yeah.
And so I think that's so important that you said that.
Thank you.
All right, now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna roll into three things with Chris. I'm gonna ask you three questions that just helps our audience get to know you a little
Love it.
bit better. So the first one is a two-part.
Okay.
How do you start and end the day?
Perfect. So, when I start the day, I my very first thing is I get out of bed and I do a short meditation. So I do meditation and I do a quick little journaling practice. Those are kind of my things I do before I interact with other people in the day. So,
Mhm,
those are how I start my day. And then I end my day usually. My kids love to watch like a 15-minute little moment of show at the end of the day. So I
mhm.
snuggle with one of them and we watch a show. And then I go and I write down my wins of the day in my
Mhm.
journal and I read a book.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah.
The second one is what's a goal or an intention you set for yourself this year and where are you with it?
Good question. Um, my goal was to bring ChillPod into the marketplace. It
Mhm.
was barely a prototype at the beginning of this year, and it is a real full-fledged product now that is getting shipped, over here very, very soon. So it to bring it to life was my intention,
Yes.
and we're very close.
Yes, fantastic. And the third question is where are you currently finding inspiration?
Ooh. When I look out this way, I'm always looking, like, at the trees. My
Mhm,
inspiration is always outside. Always,
mhm,
like, if I am in a rut, I throw on my shoes and I go outside and just try and put myself out there. I'm in Oregon, it's not always the nicest time to go do
mhm.
that, but for me, inspiration always comes from just like turning everything else off and just submerging myself in the outdoors.
Well, like I said, it's beautiful. Like,
Thank you.
it's so and I've been mesmerized by that window.
I'm glad.
Awesome. Well, Kris, I am so glad you came on the show, and I just want to say thank you so much for just sharing this practice. This is not something we've talked about on the show, but I am all about wellness for all of our women out there and figuring out ways to help us, be better, help us continue to evolve. And this is just pretty fantastic, that you've walked us through all the benefits. So, before I let you go, I would like for you to leave our audience with 3 things you'd like for them to take away from our conversation.
Ooh, let's see. Um, I would love for you to lean into something that makes you curious. So I think you hear me use that word a lot. And I think whether that's, trying dipping your hands in cold water or anything else that you're just curious about, I would love for them to take that away. Um, I think the belief that we can really do hard things and that we are so much more resilient than we even give ourselves credit for.
Mhm.
Remind yourself of that today. And if there were any of the practices, or whether that was in like my own daily routine or just in what I was talking about that like sparks some curiosity, I would be happy to connect with anybody. It's always nice to like take that to
Mhm.
the next level and connect with people. I love hearing where it takes them or what inspires you. So reach out. I would love to connect with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and, congratulations on everything and bringing this to life, and, wish you so much success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Awesome. Stay tuned, everyone. All right. Welcome back. Well, I want to thank Kris again for joining the show today. That was a really, really, really cool conversation. I challenge you all out there listening or watching to do one of the things. If you haven't cold plunged already, because some of you may have already done it, but if you've never tried it, to dip your hands in ice or dip your feet or the face feels like we said, I don't know if I could do the face, but even the shower, right? Like we talked about. So, if you want to learn more about Kris and ChillPod, you can check out the links in the show notes. Like I said, it's a beautiful design pod, so it's really cool. All right, if you'd like to learn more about Glow Up Girl, you can visit us at glowupgirl.com and sign up for our newsletter to get more tools, insights, and inspiration for your glow up journey. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are at Glow Up Girl, and wherever you're listening, don't forget to rate, review, and share. As you know, it helps more women to find the show. And if you're sharing on social, make sure you tag us so we can help cheer you on and amplify your content. Also, if you are looking for Glow Up Girl merch, make sure you check out our store on glowupgirl.com. And if you're someone who is thinking, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I have a pretty amazing story myself that I could share, but I'm not quite sure how to, put that all together. You can check out Story Labs on Glow Up Girl, and that is a service that I offer to help you really pull that story together. So it's a one-on-one hour and 30-minute session where we will look at your story. And what is interesting is that we like to look at it in 3 phases. And I think a lot of times people don't really think about our story when we're living our stories, right? Have you ever thought about, like, if someone said to you today, what would your story be if you have to tell it in 3 phases? Like, what would those chapters be named? So we take there's a worksheet that you get ahead of time, and then we spend that hour and 30 minutes having you talk to me. I listen, I write notes, and then I provide you with a story snapshot that just really helps you to, pulls everything you said together and gives you a pretty cool little snapshot of how to tell your story. So make sure you go there and check it out. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me at hello@glowupgirl. I am here to answer any questions that you might have. If you're on the site and you're looking at it and you're going, oh, I don't know, maybe I want to, but or even if you want to see an example of one, I'm happy to share it. All right. Also, let's see, for my creatives out there and business owners who are ready to work smarter, visit Studio Wonderwell, which is my studio. It's at hellowonderwell.com to explore custom systems, strategy, marketing, all the things to help you, just for you to help you as business owners focus on the things that matter most to you, which is running your business and not worrying about, what the content looks like, what the how to update the website, how to, put the systems in place. Definitely can help you with automations to find, faster ways, more efficient ways to work. And if you're thinking like, I don't know how to do that, I do. So, so check that out. And you can set up a free consult with me to talk about what you might need. All right. Okay. I think I'm done with all the selling. Oh, one last thing. If you are looking a brand or business and you're looking to partner with this community, make sure you reach out. hello@globegirl.com. All right. That's it. I promise. All right, my friends. Well, thank you so much for spending a part of your day with me, wherever you may be in the world. I'll see you all next week. So until then, stay focused, fab, and glow up. Take care, everyone.